Good morning, evening, afternoon, Moss here. Hope you're doing well. This is Moss Sajady with Moss on Sundays and Moss on Sundays, where we explain life. Today's topic is why teenagers reject their parents. So why teens reject their parents. Okay, and obviously, if you've been here, you'll see that it's a whole different reason. If you're new, you want to hang on and understand the real reason on why life happens or why teens reject their parents. No matter how good of a parent you think you are, or no matter how good or whatever that you've done, they still reject you, right? Why is that? Really highly important. And it's not just for teens. So if you have teenagers, once you tell them to listen to this video. All right, and also as we get situated, as I get connected to the group, it just takes me a second or two. As I get connected to the group, also, it's not just for teens, it's for those individuals who were rejected by their parents or wanted to stay away from their parents, rejecting their parents or rejected by their parents. And then also it is for those parents that no matter what you've done, your teens still reject you, right? So, all right. So, and if you have any comments or questions, again, this is a live show. I do read the comments as we go through. If you're asking to be scanned, guys, ask to be scanned afterwards. Okay. So the first part of the show is about again, life explained. The second half is where I tell you exactly why, right, pinpoint exactly why your life is the way it is, and then help you shift it. Okay, I don't need to know anything about you. I don't even need to know your real name. And I know that sounds kind of out there, but those possibilities are there. I'm living proof of it. And there's also more and more individuals who are coming into, say, their natural abilities on sensing and becoming, say, naturally abundant. A lot of people right nowadays are wanting to become naturally abundant. So what that means is that, and I'm just reading the group, by the way, and then we'll get into the why teens reject their parents. Naturally abundance is where, you're not slaving away. You're not slaving away. You're not destroying yourself. You're not sacrificing an aspect of you to become, say, independent or wealthy, right? Or even just to stay ahead. Because a lot of people, it's like, shit, I can't even stay ahead, right? So natural abundance is, natural abundance, just like nature. It's naturally abundant. It doesn't have to sacrifice. You don't have to sacrifice to become naturally abundant. It's been proven time and time again. And even wealthy individuals who have sacrificed and have destroyed pretty much everything else for their success, again, they always come up to me and go, Moss, I can buy anything that I need to or want to, but shit, I'm not happy. What is that? What can I do about it? Well, you want to become naturally abundant. And that's what XI, becoming exponentially intelligent, is about. So Moss on Sundays is an introductory show on, say, explaining life at a much, much deeper level for you. And it goes into realities. It goes into, say, dimensions. It goes into, say, consciousness. Okay? It doesn't go into, so exponential intelligence, again, it's not about psychology. Many of you who are new, who have tried the 18-day meditations that we're on now, you're going, wow, this is way different. It is, because I'm not trying to change your state of mind or your psychology or give you rule sets or anything like that. I'm changing your consciousness through putting you into, say, a different simulation of yourself. Yes, so it does get out there, but it does get matrixy, but it is out there. It's the new science, guys. It's absolutely the new science, and there's more and more, again, research being done on it. So we're just ahead of the game, way ahead of the game than anybody else. All right, so back to our topic here, why teens reject their parents. I'm just going to read you the copy on this. So why most of us, what we're going to go through, why teens reject their parents, is why teens don't appreciate what parents do for them, to what you are unconsciously perpetrating in your teens, if you're a parent, and then how you can transform your relationship with your teen into one you can both cherish. Okay, so that's the three main points that we're going to be talking about. So let's just jump right in, and we'll make it an uh, experiential session like we always do, right? We'll bring in the frequencies because it's about frequencies that say change the dynamics of your relationships with your teens. It's not about what you've done. You've already tried what you've done. You've done everything. You've even gone to therapy or whatever it might be, but exact like somebody was, they've done everything here, but again, we've done everything, but why isn't it still not working? It's because of these reasons that I'll explain in just a second, but it's because of your frequencies. Right? So whether you understand frequencies, again, whether you're new or not, whether you understand frequencies or not, it doesn't really matter. You use your cell phone, and you don't know how your cell phone really works, but you use it. You're on an airplane, you really don't know the aerodynamics of lift and so on, but it still works for you again. So just hang on, just stay here, just trust yourself for a second or two, and just get into the frequencies, which will help you realize how and why your life has been the way it is, whether you're a teen or whether you're a parent or whether you've grown up now. So let's take a breath in, and just know. Just reading some of the comments here. Had very difficult teenage years. Finally, I see why. I rejected myself all along. Those were the days. Yeah. So again, if you have kids that aren't here, you might want to think about them to bring them into, say, the frequencies as well. But let's take a deep breath in and just notice your upper chest, your upper back. This is a Superman, XI Superman shirt. You can get them online, by the way. Another breath in, just collecting, say, information, just reading the group. And if you're listening to this as a recording, you'll still benefit from the technology. Breath in again, just really getting you into those states, especially if you're, especially if you've grown up and you want to heal yourself of your teenage years, right? You want to heal those years so you can be a stronger version, a stronger adult, stronger version of yourself now, right? So for those individuals, let's create a certain frequency, and then take a breath in again, and then for those individuals who are pushing away. So you're a teenager, you're a young adult, right? You're 9 even, say it's from 9 to about 20, mid 20s, some of you even in your 30s, and you're still rejecting or pushing away your parents or want to be the opposite of your parents. So those individuals listening, so we'll bring that frequency in. And then those individuals who are parents and are not understanding why, no matter what you do, again, you can throw tons of money at your kids. A lot of wealthy individuals do. And it's like, shit, my kids still don't like me. My kids still reject me. Why is that, right? So again, those 3 major groups we'll talk about, we'll talk about it from, see, those 3 different aspects of it. So here we go. Here's the scene, right? So again, put yourself in whichever place, whichever theme that you want to put yourself into. But think about it, right? You've got a teenager, right? And no matter what you do, they're not happy with you, right? No matter what you do, they're not happy with you. You bend over backwards, they're not happy with you, which is, again, a single problem of its own. You never want to do that because you lose respect for yourself. They're looking for respect, by the way. So if you're bending over backwards, there's no respect in you, and they'll respect you less. So that's just a side note. Being a parent of like 6 kids, and then helping, I don't know, thousands, tens of thousands of other kids grow into, say, strong adulthood, and then helping parents raise their kids. Again, a lot of knowledge here. So take a breath in again. So, or remember back in the days when you were a kid, and no matter what your parents did for you, it's like, God, I should be nice to my parents, but why isn't it not working? Why do I have this thing that I have to push against them? And then you start to think, it's like, oh, well, it's how they, treat me in this way, or it's their religion, or it's just because they push the money thing on me, especially with wealthy, families. It's all about money, and it's all, so you start to, put coincidences together, or things of frequencies together. Things of apparent, say, connections, right? For example, you hear loud noise and something happens to you. You by association, you think that loud noise caused whatever happened to you, right? And it could be not true. It might not be true at all. It's just a coincidence. Again, so we put coincidences together, and then we have this hodgepodge and reasons why we still have, say, that grudge against our parents. Whether we're older now and they're dead, they're long gone, they're dead, and we still have that grudge, right? Those kind of, or we're longing for the love of our parents. I'm seeing a lot of that as well. It's like, why is my parents rejecting me? It's the same pattern. Or why am I being rejected by my parents? Why am I rejecting my parents? Boy, there's a lot of things coming up here, guys. So I might be all over the place. I'm just trying to help all these different pockets that are popping up for you. So if you're feeling the frequencies, or if a lot of stuff is coming up for you, even if you're new, it's totally cool. Even if you're new, just notice if you've gone through a divorce, right? My parents divorced when I was 12. I was all downhill with parents since then. Exactly. All those, say, emotions, or all those feelings, and even you might even notice that there's something going on beyond your emotions right now, right? It's like, what is that? Well, that's what I'm talking about. This isn't about, again, psychology or anything. It goes way beyond your emotions. I would say it's your genetic makeup that we're going to change right here, right now for you. So take a deep breath in again. All right. So, so you've done everything. You were a parent back then. You did everything for your child. Now your child rejects you or doesn't even want to talk to you. Okay? Or you're that teen that just rejects your parents for whatever reason. Even if you think it's like, shit, my parents were good to me, right? Why do I reject them? Well, here's the deal. I'll run through the whole scenario for you, and it's got nothing to do with what you do or who you are or how they treat you or anything like that. It's about your genetics. Just write down, it's about your genetics. Okay? Again, write it down. Okay? Copy it somewhere. It's about your genetics. Here's the deal. We are evolutionary beings. Okay? And this goes very deep, and you go, well, it's got nothing to do with, parenting, or it's got nothing to do with rejection. If you tried everything else and you're asking that and it hasn't worked, then you might want to listen. Okay? So again, XI goes to the top level reason, the first principle reason on why life happens the way it does. So at first it might not make sense. So just listen, just observe, and then when you acclimate yourself to that level of knowledge, you'll go, oh shit, that does make sense. Okay? Again, especially if you're new. So take a breath in. So it all happens with genetics. Again, bottom line, it's straight out genetics. What happens is, I'll go through the cycle of life. In psychology, they might call it some other things. In XI, I create my own terminology, but it's very similar, but obviously XI goes much, much deeper than psychology or the traditional, the traditional studies, university studies and so on like that. The traditional medical, say, society. Again, it's the latest advancement in, say, understanding why life happens. So when you're young, when you're 0 to 7, those are your liquid years. Okay? I call them your liquid years because you're very transformative. You're very moldable. Again, you have no shape. You have no form. You have no identity. You have a default state. Okay? You have a default state. Imagine you have a blueprint. Okay? Your blueprint is, again, there for you. Your blueprint is there to be at your highest, best possible self that you could be. You already have a blueprint already written down. It's literally a fucking handbook for you guys. Okay? It's a handbook for you that allows you to be your best possible self in the reality that you created yourself in. So if you were born in the Civil War, for example, or whatever situation that this reality was in, you would have had a handbook right off the bat that would allow you to be your best possible self and be nurtured, be, say, abundant in that reality if you followed the handbook that you are naturally born with. Okay? Again, it's your master blueprint. But what happens is that when you're a kid, you've got this blueprint, and then your parents, your reality. Okay, it could be your parents, it could be, you know, your grandparents or whoever raised you, right? You've got your original self. Again, it should be this way, and then you've got your parents' way. You've got your environment's way, your current environment. Okay, so here we go. Here's the problem. You're looking at your environment and you're looking at your handbook, and you know, as a kid, kids are very intuitive. Write down, even, you know, like a 1 month year old, 2 month, 3 month, they're very, very intuitive. In utero, they're very, very intuitive. They're understanding, they're conceptualizing, they're processing the environment that they're going to be born in utero, in your mom's belly, right? In your belly, your kid has already analyzed the environment, because that's what genetics does. That's what your DNA does. It's always sounding off. It's always sending out or pinging out the environment and bringing it back in and adjusting and accommodating to your environment each and every, I would say, millisecond. It's happening all the time. That's how we transform. It's very different than scientists that think, especially the US scientists. Russian scientists and other scientists, they don't think that way. They think that DNA is very much alive. U.S. scientists think that the DNA is hard coded and that's it once you're born with it, which doesn't make sense at all. But anyway, that's another subject for higher discussion. So in your formative years, again, liquid years 1 through 7, what happens is that you see your handbook, you see the environment. You see your handbook, you see the environment, and the environment doesn't match the handbook. It's like, why is mom or dad like this, right? Why are they treating each other like this? Why are their environment like this? Why are they not abundant like this? Why are they why do they have problems? Why do they have this and this and this? They should be like this. So, and then what do? You ask your parents, right? Your parents guide you and they train you the best they can, or maybe the worst they can. They had the worst intent for you, or they had the best intent for you. It doesn't fucking matter. Again, it doesn't matter the intent behind it. It matters on the observation that your genetics, your DNA, your cells are making. Not this thing, but your cellular structure. I call it your body brain, right? So you're observing your environment and you're going, this isn't right. And then by the time you're, like you're 5 or 6 or 7, what do? You start asking a hell of a lot of questions. Why is that? Right? Well, you want to learn more about your environment. You want to know which way to go. In those formative years, your parents should have taught you that shit. You should listen to this handbook that you've gotten. Okay? Your parents should actually listen to the handbook that you've gotten, because it's an updated version than their handbook. But they don't. They just tell you, it's like, this is the way it is. And worse yet, parents go, I was born this way. I was raised this way by my parents. You have to do it the same exact way. How many of you have heard that? Again, how many of you have heard that? Comment in. That's crazy. What does that do to your evolutionary process? It cycles it. Your cells are going, hell no. No, I don't want to live the same old way, because you're genetically programmed to be a better version of your old self. Your old self would have been a mutation of your parents and their parents and their parents and their parents. Does that make sense? So in human societies, or the human species, we don't evolve. This is the reason why. This is all the problems that we have in today's society. We haven't evolved since the 1800s or 17. I would say sometimes even the 1700s. Our genetics haven't really evolved. Our technology has, but genetic-wise, we're still the same. That's why we have technological singularity. If you don't know what that is, you might want to take a look at it, where technology basically surpasses the intelligence of humans, which is kind of crazy. But look up Ray Kurzweil and technological singularity. So let's take a deep breath in. Let's take a deep breath in. Someone's talking about, so passionate. I am passionate because the kids are our future, right? People want to change people want to change the world with, new technologies, new solutions, and all that bullshit. It's great. I'm not talking that technology is bullshit. It's not going to help. Technologies in the past haven't helped. You have to change the younger generation. And I'll talk about that and on why they reject it, by the way. So your formative years, again, your liquid years are there for you to, again, ascertain and observe. You're there. Your parents are there to go, yeah, you know what? I did it this way, but looking at you, if your parents are, say, wise enough, looking at you, they'll sense the handbook that you have as well, and they'll raise you, and they'll change your environment according to your new handbook, according to your handbook, not theirs. So their life gets better. If you and people go, well, shit, that can't be true. How many of you on here, okay, you're an XI, or you've had an XI baby, and then what happens? Your environment changes. You adapt to your kid's needs, right? And it's a higher need than your needs, and then your life gets better. You're calmer, you're more abundant, you're happier, you're more connected to that child. So again, it works. Again, those who are XIers and again have had XI babies, comment in, please. So the first liquid years, basically, and this is why kids ask a lot of questions, right? It's like, why are you doing this where it should be this, And they're literally asking you, they're literally helping you. Parents, again, the one thing I learned from having 6 kids, you can learn a hell of a lot. They're more wiser, again, because of what I said. They've got the new handbook. They've got the new version of how realities work better than your version. So listen to them, okay? They've got a lot of things to say. Ask them if you have problems. If you have a problem with your relationship and stuff, they already sense that there's problems in your relationship. Just go, hey, you know what? My partner and I, or your dad and I, or your mom and I, you can tell that we're not getting along well, and they'll open up and go, yeah, I can, because they already know it. And then be truthful about it, and they'll probably give you better ideas and concepts. More yet, they'll give you better frequencies to connect better. But most people, again, most parents go, I'm the knowledge base here, I know everything, I can't look stupid, or I can't look vulnerable to my kids, so this is the way it is, this is the way I'm going to teach them. And again, you're just teaching them from what you knew in the past, or how you grew from your parents, right? Especially in emergency situations. Or in those dire situations that you need an answer right away, you didn't even think about it, what do? You default back to how you were raised, or how your parents raised you. Simple as that. So what you do is that the formative years, the liquid years, where things are supposed to clean up, where you're supposed to go, yeah, we're not supposed to do it this way anymore. We should love differently. We should communicate differently, and so on, like that. Again, teaching your kids. Those liquid years are now formed from 0 to 7. They're liquid. From 7 to about 14, right, a little past puberty. What happens is that, no, a little before puberty, I'm sorry, or right on the border, I would say. From about 7 to around whenever puberty hits, and unfortunately it's hitting earlier and earlier because of all the hormones and so on that we're putting in our foods, right? Kids are going through puberty much younger, which is very debilitating because their brain doesn't function as well. Anyway, so you've got the gelatin years, where you're starting to gel. You're starting to form an identity of who you are, again, based on the liquid, right? So you're starting to create, say, a mold for you based on, say, what your environment is. And since you're a baby, since you're a kid, take a breath in again. You're starting to see, it's like, well, mom and dad has been around in this environment more. I should trust them more, no matter. And then some of you, very few of you, go, hell, mom and dad are that way, I'm going to trust my handbook. But even in that situation, you're still running mom and dad's pattern. You just know that there's a better version out there, but you didn't know how to pull it out of you. So you still run your parents' patterns. Does that make sense to you? All those individuals who go, God, I always knew that there was a better version. I could never get away from it. Well, this is the reason why. So you start to gel because your environment, again, your environment, not your conscious, not your psychology, dictates how you turn out. Your DNA is going, this is the environment. This is how these people survive. So what do? Your environment, your genetics start to morph. Your frequencies start to morph into what's successful. And what's successful, again, is society. Look at society. Look at your family value structure. Look at your culture and so on like that. You look at your religions, so on like that. It's like that's what's surviving. I guess we'll just recreate that. So you start to gel. Right, and this is where teenagers start to reject themselves and reject their parents. This is the beginning. This is where they know as they go into puberty, and that's why puberty is so important. They get into puberty and go, shit. If I'm going into puberty, I know that I'm going to harden. Okay. So your liquid form, you had all the possibilities for you to transform and shift and so on like that. If you had proper parents, again, I'm not saying your parents weren't proper, but they just didn't know how to raise properly. Simple as that. Okay. So again, you could have been the nicest parent, but unconsciously you did the best. But again, that wasn't what was needed at a genetic level. So I'm not cutting any of you down. I'm just telling you what your genetics or what the genetics needed. Right? So now you're gelling. You're forming, that child is forming into a gel state. It's forming into, say, a personality or an identity that's very different than, say, its original state, the master blueprint. And it's like, fuck, I don't want this. I do not want this. Right? And this is where they get abrasive. This is where they start to push away. This is where you start to have problems. This is where they start to go into different realities. This is where they start to have ADD, ADHD, and so on like that. They don't like the reality that they exist in. They don't like the possibilities that they're losing their possible self, their grander version of who they are right off the bat. So they remove themselves of this reality and go to the reality where possibilities still exist, but not in living form. Okay. By the way, if you have kids that are in trouble and so on, I help a ton of kids. We probably do more and more meditations because you don't need a one-on-one session for me to help your kids. Your kids transform really fast. Let's take a deep breath in again. So you've got the gel state. Okay, your kids are morphing. Just imagine, you're baking a cake. You've got all the ingredients. You could put all the ingredients that you wanted to in that cake. Once you put those ingredients in there, right? It's a gel form, right? It's in there, and then you put it in the oven, and it starts to form. And then you go, "Fuck, I missed an ingredient. It's a little too late." Does that make sense to you, right? Or I should have added this ingredient, or I should have taken that ingredient. It's a little too late. Because now it's gelled, it's formed, it's forming itself, it's mixing with the other ingredients that you did. You mixed it up already, right? In the liquid state, you had an opportunity to remove, like the diseases from family values, the addiction patterns, and all those things. You had the possibility to remove that from, say, your child, or back in the day when you were a child, you had all those possibilities. But again, society doesn't know how to raise their kids. And then this is where evolution goes downhill. So you've got the gel state. The gel state, again, you start to harden. You start to get into puberty. Puberty basically solidifies who you are. Okay? Puberty, and that's the gel. It's like shit. It's forming into some identity. It's based on whatever identity that was created, again, whatever ingredients that were poured in. And most of what ingredients that were used was, it's like, well, if my environment is this way, I'm either in with the environment, again, proactive with the environment, or against the environment, right? So you're already, again, against your parents or for your parents. Simple as that, or society. So you start to solidify, you start to morph, your body starts to change as you go into puberty. A lot of times in this state, most individuals, because they didn't have the proper parents, they weren't strong masculine identities or figures in the family. There weren't strong feminine identities in the family. So when they get into puberty, the genetic makeup, the hardware might be there for you, right? The physical features of female, male, but the software, again, fucked up. So as they go into puberty, the genetics or your cellular structure goes, well, what are we? Are we masculine? Are we feminine? What's this both thing? I don't know, right? It doesn't know. So it's like, well, shit. This is the programming that we got. This is the programming that we got handed over because you've got your master blueprint. In the liquid state, you decided again the blueprint that you wanted to gel into, morph into. Okay, and this is like your genetics are going. These are the orders that we want, and then again, it confuses at a deeper level because it's like these are fucked up orders. But that's what the boss wanted. And then you morph in. So let's take a deep breath in. You get into the hardened state. Again, that cake is solidified, right? So what do? Right? You go from, say, you start to wake up. You start to understand, you start to realize that you, as a child, from say about 13 to in your late teens, 20s, you're starting to see that what's happening. You're starting to see that you're morphing into, say, the genetics of your parents. You're starting to look like your parents. You're starting to sense like your parents. You're starting to act like your parents. In fact, when my teenage kids, they graduated a couple of years ago. It was the craziest thing. They had that party. I was invited to them, and all I saw was young teenage kids, beautiful kids, just wearing the habits, identities of their parents. It's like, like when little kids wear their, like when my little kids, they wear my clothes and it's just too baggy. I was just seeing them, they're just graduating and they have their potential, but I see they're just wearing their parents' identities that they're going to grow into. So in those formative years, again, from 13 to 18, the teenagers, you start to wake up. You start to realize that it's like, oh shit, I see my parents, I see myself. I see my parents in myself. I see my uncle or aunt or grandmother or whoever. I see the resemblance at a very deep level. So no matter what you do, they're not trying to get away from what you're doing at a physical level or at a conscious level. Again, providing them money, providing them the best education and all that. They're trying to get away from what's important. What's the most important thing? That most important thing, again, being their own identity, their own genetic identity. Basically, what they've hardened into is a mixture of mom and dad's identity, cellular identity. They didn't, say, progress. They didn't evolve. They cycled backwards. They're just another version of mom and dad. And their mom and dad was another version of that. So in those later years, they'll try anything because it's the last ditch effort that they have. So what do? They run away. They reject everything that you do, no matter what the hell it is, no matter how good it is, no matter how bad it is. They'll reject everything that you do because they don't want to turn out to be like you. Okay? And even if you're a great person, your genetics, again, it's at not a psychology level. It's like, well, what's wrong with me? Got nothing to do with your personality. It's got nothing to do with how successful you are. It's all about genetics. That genetic pattern does not want to recycle itself again. It wants to evolve because that's that's what's programmed in. So it evolves, and it's the last ditch effort. So at a physical level, kids start to really push away. They start to, like, say you come from a wealthy family, right? It's like, shit, I hate wealth, because that's the reason why I turned out like my parents. Or if you're really poor, right? I hate, poverty. And then but unfortunately, neither side plays out well because your genetics are still the same. So the key reason, the underlying reason why your kids reject themselves and maybe you reject the parents is because you didn't, or at some point you didn't, or your parents didn't allow you to morph into your best possible version. Again, the grander version or that master blueprint that you originally was designed for. And you're always searching for that. So you start to reject, okay? You start to reject and you start to fight. And this is, just from teens to your mid-20s. But by your mid-20s, you give up fighting. Okay, this is why it's very important by like mid-20, like 25, a lot of women give in. A lot of women at 25, again, it's a very tumultuous year for women. For guys, it's a little older because they grow up a little You know, they grow into adulthood. It takes a little longer for for males. Anyway, 25 years old, right? A lot of young women. They don't understand who they are. Their bodies are morphing into the body of again, maybe their parents, and they don't want that, again, their identity. So over time, though, between 18 to 25, they haven't figured out a way to do it. They haven't figured out a way to get out of the mess that they got when they should have been between 0 to 7 years old. So what do? By 25, 26, most women just go, fuck it. I'll just be whatever has happened, whatever I've morphed into. I'm good with that. Okay. Men, by the time they get into their like early 30s, right? The midlife crisis, that's when they start to realize it's like, fuck. And they try to do everything to go back to their youth, right? Women, again, they do it in their like 25 to 30. Men do it from, again, their mid 30s, early 30s to, 32 to about 38, right? That's the crisis time. For those genders, that's a crisis. It's like, shit. It was their last ditch effort. Teenagers, they rejected everything, but they got deeper and deeper, and they got pulled into, they just got drowned. They drowned deeper and deeper and deeper, and then they have that crisis, and then they go, oh well, I guess that's the way life is, and then they go along with it, and then by the time they get older, it's like, shit, I turned into my parents. So that's that life cycle. So again, the main reason why you reject or you've been rejected is because your genetic makeup. It's got nothing to do with psychology. And I just want to say that again, because you'll go through therapy, you'll go through, buying your kids more. This is the latest, you'll buy your kids more stuff, especially the wealthy individuals, or you'll try to shift. The number one gift that parents give to their young daughters in their teens is breast implants. Get that? Because they've lost their identity. So it's the size of their breast that is associated to their identity. And that really fucks people up, by the way. I've got nothing against big breast or small breast or anything like that. But again, if you don't own it at a intrinsic level or genetic level, it's not going to help you. It's not going to benefit you, by the way. So that's just something to think about for those young women that are out there thinking that, hey, I'll get that breast implant and then everything's going to change. Your identity, your cellular identity has to change for you to accommodate that. Okay, we're going to be talking more and more about, say, women, XI women being that strong women. But again, that's something else. So, all right, so do you guys understand now why you reject? So hopefully that will heal. Let's take a deep breath in. Some of your issues as you were growing up. Hopefully as a parent, you'll start to understand. You'll start to observe your child more and see what they need, not what you need, not how you discipline them, but what they need to be disciplined so they can become your better version of yourself. Now the 18 days and so on like that, that's what we do. We take you back to your liquid state. I know it sounds crazy, but we take you back to your liquid state as best as we can, depending on how old you are. The younger you are doing the 18 days, the better, because your liquid state is, more reachable. It's more, say, acceptable for you rather than being in your 60s and 70s, although we've had some fantastic transformations, people doing the 18 days and really recovering from whatever, they were rejected by, or, healing, say, the distortions of their parents. So, all right. Let's move on to the next session, the next aspect, where I read you or I scan you, telling you exactly what's going on. In this case, we'll focus more on, say, the parents and so on like that, because that's what the topic was about, on, say, how you were raised affects how your life is, okay? And again, if you're new, say, hey, I'm new, please scan me. Somebody talking about the 18 days are amazing. It is. It truly is. It truly is magic, though. The 18 days, because it allows you to go reset yourself. It allows you to understand who you are at a deeper level. It allows you to go, oh, I understand that blueprint now, that handbook now. And again, it allows you your second chance on life. All right. All right. So This is cute. The True Woman Show. We turn tragic to magic. Yep. Do an XI. Absolutely. All right. So again, I have to read this disclaimer. So this is Sajady with Exponential Intelligence. Sunday, July 24th, 2022. I'm not a doctor, not a medical doctor. I don't diagnose or heal. I can scan your frequency signature and tell you what I see. Please consult your doctor for professional advice. If I give you, say, medical advice or anything like that, I'm just telling you what I see. Okay? I might be totally off. Again, so seek a professional or seek your own knowledge. If you ask to be scanned, you are agreeing that we may use your session on any public media to help inspire others. So remember, if you don't want us to be, if you don't want this, your information on a public forum, then don't ask to be scanned. We do private sessions on that for you. Okay. All contents are protected by copyright. You may not use our content in any way, shape, or form for any purpose without my written permission. And then again, ask only once. Please ask only once. If you are new, again, you can ask to say, hey, I'm new, or if you want me to scan your daughters, like this one here, is it Denise? Please scan my son, my daughters, making him crazy. Yeah. So again, I don't need with my abilities that we all have, and this is what I train people to do, so they can be their best possible version and make have abundance, happiness, all spherical abundance for you. So again, I don't need anything else other than, you can even change your name. It doesn't really matter. I can pick up on the frequency that you're sending out by you typing in your comments. It kind of sounds crazy, but again, there's a lot of science behind it, which I won't explain here. So please scan my son. My daughter is making him crazy. Well, your son seems really feminine to me. So what you've done is, no offense, Denise, and this is what you're pulling away from. You're probably using XI. Seems like, again, well, I'll tell you the whole story. And again, if I read you, if I'm scanning you, again, please write in the comments the accuracy of it. I know I'm very accurate, okay? It's just for you to go, shit, where did you get that information? Because it's out there somewhere. It just allows you to access it. So for those who are up and coming their abilities, again, it allows you to expand those abilities so you can sense like I do. So please scan my son, and my daughter is making him crazy. Well, what's happening is that, again, seems like you and the father, not the best relationship. So you would use him, say, as a surrogate male. Okay, your son, no matter, even, and the younger, the worse the situation, obviously, because that's a lot of responsibility. Having, say, a husband or a father's, say, frequencies, pushed upon, say, a young kid, right? Even a baby, especially when, say, you're changing their diaper, and they read, they're looking at you. Okay, they're seeing the exact same thing that I see. They just don't understand it. Right? So basically, frequencies are all around us, right? And we're reading them. Most people read the frequencies unconsciously. When you're a baby, you read them, you see them plain as day, but you don't know what to do with them. So XI teaches you literally how to read those underlying frequencies that most of us would say observe at a subconscious or super subconscious level. So as a baby, again, all the problems and all that stuff, you're just dumping into that baby because that baby was your anchor. Your son was your anchor, right? So again, more of a feminine frequency. The daughter, okay? Your daughter, the reason why your daughter is driving him crazy is because he's starting to see the feminine frequency that's solidifying in him, okay, as he gets older. And he's going, shit, I'm a guy. Why do I feel close to, or why do I resonate like a feminine frequency? Well, I just explained the reason why. So he's trying to break away from becoming, say, more feminine. Well, there's nothing wrong with, say, a soft male, okay? But you don't want to be a feminine if you're a male. Simple as that, right? We all have female, male, say, identities and so on like that, but they have to be in certain quantities, right? The right quantities. They have to be in that balance. So he's off balance on that. So he's becoming, again, he's basically, the sister is reflecting. It's like, shit, I have more qualities as a female than being male, and that really bothers him because he's male. He's just a solid male. How does he get rid of it? Again, I would do some sessions. I would have him do the 18 days. If you're doing the 18 days, Denise, then this is what's happening. It's opening that up. Okay, your daughter is really, say, aggressive or more assertive. Again, more of a he runs towards her father's patterns. So, which means that, again, she's protecting herself because she's very soft on the inside, very insecure on the inside. And it's like, you know what? It's not safe. And this is what happens to a lot of women. They look at the, when you're a young girl, you're looking at the mom, and the mom's all over the place, right? Emotional, whatever, not the most stable, let's just say. And the daughter looks, it's like, mom, fuck, don't want to be that. Dad looks more stable, more in charge, although, because he's more angry or he's whatever, or he might be on the right path. Like, I'm using his patterns. So again, females, there's a lot of females nowadays that run masculine patterns because of that. Because in the liquid and in the gelatin stage, they can start choosing if they're not guided properly. That's the problem. They're going, shit, this is a more secure environment. So your daughter runs more aggressive or more assertive, say, that kind of dictator type, just like the father does. So that's what's going on with you. So what I was doing, by the way, I'm not just scanning you. What I was doing, I was helping, say, your daughter, for example, become more into herself. She's always out of time. She's always has to push forward or push on things, because if she stayed where she is, she would feel a lot like your son, where it's like, shit, I feel more masculine than I should be. So they're both running the same patterns, right? Again, I would suggest the 18 days or a session, and we could set that up. And again, like I said, I'm not just scanning you. I was helping you release you so you can be more of yourself, which allows, as you become more of yourself, your son starts to go, wow, mom's a solid female, I can be a solid masculine person. And then again, it cleans up. And then, by the way, their father, just burdened, just henpecked by his mom. So, all right. And again, comment in if that was accurate for you. This is Eben Joyce. Moss, can you scan my sexual patterns? Again, Eben, sure. So it just seems, and I get frequency, so I might be off on, your physical, say, identity. If you're a man and you're running a female pattern, for example, right, I would peg you as a woman. So again, because I see frequencies, I don't see your, say, genetics. I see your genetics. I don't see your actual. I see how other people would see you. Okay. I don't see your real self. So sometimes, again. So who? Oh shoot. Here, Evan Joyce. Yeah, your sexual patterns. So your sexual patterns, again, a lot of confusion. It seems like there's. It's like two masculine identities and then one, say, harassing feminine identity. So it really messes you up. Okay. So again, you have to separate those identities. And if you're doing the 18 days, from what I'm seeing, you're starting to see those. If you are doing the 18 days or whatever that you've done with me, I would definitely do this month's 18 days. This will really help you. I know we're into the 10th day, but it'll still help you. The recordings would still help you, and then you can still do the rest live. But especially after this mini session here. So for you, you're starting to see literally two masculine frequencies that aren't you, by the way. The deal with you, Evan, is that you get taken over by other presences. So, and that sounds like woo-woo out there, but not really. Say that you room with somebody, right? Say that you room with an 80-year-old person, okay? Over time, in a very short period of time, you'll start having bone issues. If the 80-year-old person has joint pain and so on like that, Evan, you will have joint pain just like you were 80 years old. Okay, you again, you're an absorber. When you're a young kid, there's all seems like there's some death in the family as well. Two males and then one again jealous female patterns are running in you. So you're not even you. So those three run your identity. So what you've done though, Evan, again through the 18 days or whatever with XI, is that you're pushing them away. So you're getting a clear identity of who you are. Okay? Sometimes it confuses you, but you're separating those identities. So right now, your sexual identity is like really transforming into who you really are. Okay? And that's the blessing. Because whether you're heterosexual, homosexual, LGBT, and all those other letters that are out there, if you don't own it, you're fucked up as anybody else, right? Again, whether you're heterosexual or anything, it's not your identity, right? Or it's not claiming other people should recognize you. It's you need to recognize who you are at a deeper level. But that's a whole subject of itself. So for you, what I was helping you, Evan, is like literally separate that identity even more, and then you'll come into a natural state of who you are. Okay, which is really good. Just reading some of these really nice comments. Moss, can you please scan me? I grew up in the Philippines with a couple of traumas. Thank you. This is, what is it? Basin? Biassin? Yeah. Anyway, so yeah. Blazing Goddess. Blazing Goddess. Okay. So yes, so the Philippines. So your parents, especially your mom, they got into say different types of worship, from what I'm seeing, which what's really sad is the missionaries and so on like that. You know, Catholicism is say a white man's religion or concept of say what God is. It doesn't really jive. It doesn't really match with say people in the Philippines and so on. And then they get into, and then the way the missionaries put that religion upon them. What does that have to do with you, right? It has a lot to do with you, by the way, because your mom runs from like a lot of deep spiritual fear. Because if you're not of that religion, you're going to go to hell. You get into devil worship. Your religions, the cultured religions or the religions of that culture was, basically the devil's religion and so on like that. So those are the background. That's basically the background that you come out of. So there's a lot of fear. And then what you do is, or back in the day, you ran from that fear. You're always running from those traumas. So you're never healing. You're running from those traumas. So it's really time for you to say, stop, take a deep breath in, and I'll just work on you quickly for you and anybody else that is running from traumas like that. And again, that's a deeper version of it. Is again fear. So you run from fear of say being condemned at a say religious or God level. So that's the deeper level. Hence you call yourself a goddess. It's like no, and you're always proving to yourself that you're a goddess. It's like you're pure, you're clean, you're a good person. So those would be say your personality traits that you would have. If that makes sense to you, right? That's why it's like, look, I'm doing this, I'm doing this, I'm doing this. Because at a deep level, you think that you're going to go to hell because of what I said earlier. And that's in the culture, by the way, not just your parents. Anyway, and then your mom on the other hand too. Before that, her grandma and so on, they were into weird shit as well. So anyway, so the deal is that you take a deep breath in. Let's just stop. Let's just stop time. Let's stop running, and then stop, because you're in control, right? Because whenever you're running away from something, that person is in control, right? So you're never in control of your life, so to speak. So we'll help you stop, and then obviously it's a mini session, but just stopping, you'll start to see that It's not your issue that you're running from. It's your parents and your culture's parents. And again, all the way back to missionary times. Uh, you're running from a frequency that's not yours. So once you stop, you go, wait a second, I don't have to run anymore. I'm fine where I am. And that's where you really start to say, get blessed. And this is where you start to really love yourself. Okay? And that's the beginning. This one is FP consciousness. Whilst I'm new, I've been dizzy for over a month now. Doctors have no idea. Would love a scan, please. Again, I'm not a doctor or anything like that, but there is bacteria. Yeah, there's some kind of bacteria in your right side of your brain. I don't know if it's got to do with water. Sometimes, when people go swimming, there's bacteria that like seeps through the barrier somehow, or it goes through into your sinuses somehow. Oh, you have sinus issues. You've always had sinus issues from what I'm seeing. Yeah. Again, I'm just scanning you. I could be totally wrong. I could be an idiot. So again, don't take my word. But you might want to do your research. And again, not a doctor. So you've always had sinus type issues. There's that filter or whatever it is, the bacteria, it goes into your brain. So there's something missing there, or it's very thin. And then what happens is somehow some bacteria or virus went up into, say, the right side, and then it's messed up your ears. Or you're messed up the right side of your head, basically. So I don't know, maybe you might want to take ivermectin. I have no idea, but something like that that kills off viruses. So that might be good for you, by the way. Okay. And you might also do, I don't know, when those people clean out their noses a lot, because again, that filter, um, there's a barrier, right? There's a blood-brain barrier. That aspect of you doesn't work out well. Even in your mouth, there's a blood-brain barrier. Um, it's very thin for you, so you have more opportunity of having issues or viruses and so on, bacteria in your brain. So you want to stay healthy, keep healthy that way. Hopefully that helps you out. And again, comment back, customers at Sajady. So I would take some kind of antibacterial, or again, ivermectin. Again, it's just a suggestion. This is Svetlana. Please scan my relationship with my kids, Ma. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. You've got 4, or you probably have 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. But I see 4 for some reason. So, but it seems like, so you might actually have 4, or this is the way it works. You have 3, and then if you have 4 living kids, one is like older, or one is separate than the other 3, or you have 4 kids and then one passed away as an older individual, or your mom might have had, or you might have had a sibling that passed away. Anyway, so what's happening for you is that, in the past you were running from, say, again, let's just say you're in the household, and I see alcoholism, or addiction type patterns, or not stable patterns, let's say. So in the household, when you're in the household, you had to walk on eggshells, so to speak. Does that make sense? And you always had to be careful with what you had to say, otherwise, you and your partner would get into an argument. So again, walking on eggshells like that, who grew up like that, right? You just had to be cautious. So you become reflective of everything that you do. And that's the way I see your kids. Your kids are highly sensitive to everything that happens to them. And that's the key. And I explain the reason why for you is because they're always reflecting. It's like, so basically what you're asking yourself, and this is your pattern, what you're asking yourself is like, what I'm doing now, this exact moment, is that gonna cause an argument? Okay? So you always reflect back. It's like you're always looking at yourself in the mirror. So when you start looking at yourself too much in the mirror, like you're one, I see a masculine, maybe a younger boy. What he does is he keeps reflecting back. But when you keep looking at yourself, like sometimes teenage girls do, right? They keep looking in the mirror for hours and hours. Well, shit, no matter how beautiful they are, my daughter used to do this too. No matter how beautiful they are, it's like there's a pimple, or there's a freckle, or you're gonna find something that's not right. So, and that's what's messing up this one son of yours. Because again, he's always introspective. He's very sensitive to other people's frequencies, by the way. So all your kids are like that. You're like that. So you need to reverse that. Okay. And again, the 18 days will help you out. This will help you out. This will help especially that one kid that's more sensitive. He seems to step out or needs the most help. I'll suggest a family session. But for him, helping him understand, it's like, wait a second, I can just be me. And if they have issues, that's okay. So sometimes your kids become brazen because they don't give a fuck. They just don't care. They'll be them. Allow them to be them, especially if they've been in a controlling environment, so they can stabilize themselves. That's one of the best suggestions, guys, I could give parents. I know it sounds weird. I know it's like, no, we need more discipline. No, just let them go. Just let them fuck up on their own. They'll start to balance and harmonize because that's what they're wanting to do. They want to harmonize and balance on their own without you having to discipline them. Okay, I've helped a ton of people like this, even from suicides. Right, once they start to harmonize and balance, again by pulling away from you the proper way. That's why they want to pull away from you anyway. That's why they want to reject you. Let them reject you. Allow them to balance. Allow them to make their own decisions. Even if they're younger, allow them to make their own decisions. And then they start to become the observer of themselves. And then they'll go, shit, this is wrong. And then they'll naturally gravitate to what you learned from. So, do I need ivermectin? Again, guys, I'm not a doctor, but ivermectin is actually a cool, especially if you've been traveling. When I went to Peru, I picked up a virus or something, and really fucked me up. Messed up my hormones, messed up my heart patterns and stuff like that. So I took ivermectin. It wasn't COVID, by the way, but it did kill off whatever it was. So, what do my kids hang on to my partner? Why do my kids hang on to my partner and keep me at a distance, Rebecca? So for you, Rebecca, the reason why is because you're too helpful. You want to be that person that you want to be everything to everyone. Okay, when you're kids, though, again, the main key is that they want to be everything to themselves. Okay, so your kids would pull away, okay, because you're not allowing them to harmonize or balance on their own. Simple as that. So set back, not care as much. You don't want to be in the fray. You don't want to be in the group. You want to be removed from the group. Okay? Do you notice that whenever you're like needy or wanting something or wanting to be part of something, it's always like a rejection pattern? Okay? That's a pattern that you run. So at a deeper level, again, you've always wanted, say, the love of your parents that you never received, right? Even to this day, your father, you're going, shit, I wonder why my dad never loved me. Is it because I did this and because, no, got nothing to do. Your dad was, I think he was semi-alcoholic or something like that, and he had his own problems. He didn't have time to focus in on you, Rebecca. Got nothing to do with you. How many of you out there, your parents' problems, and you go, shit, why aren't they accepting me? Why aren't they loving me the way the blueprint says they should be? Because they couldn't figure it out. Their parents didn't allow them to figure it out. So now they're trying to figure it out. Your dad, for some reason, I don't know if your dad's passed over or close passing over or old, obviously older. But anyway, your dad loved you a lot. Your dad connected to you, wanted to connect to you a lot, but he just didn't know how. And he didn't want to pass on all his bullshit. That's how he handled it. He didn't want to pass on all his bullshit onto you. So he kept a distance from you. And then what did you want? You felt that love from him, right? You felt that love from him. And it's like, well, why is there something wrong with me? And you keep wanting that connection with your dad. It could be your mom, but a masculine figure. Okay. So, and then that's that pattern. It's like, I know he loves me and everything, but then why is there no connection there? Because he didn't want all that bullshit, pushed onto you. That's why. So how many of you have grown up like that, right? Wondering why your parents never loved you. They probably did love you a lot, but they also knew that if they loved you in the way that they were going to love you, that you'd get fucked up even more. Unfortunately, you get fucked up either way. So anyway, so that's what you're doing to your kids. Your kids are actually doing it the right way. They're pushing you away so you can stabilize on your own. And then as you stabilize, doing the 18 days and so on, they'll start to gravitate towards you because you'll find your light. Okay. This is the best Mass on Sunday ever. Oh, thanks, hon. Patricia, please scan me and my kids. Thanks. Again, two more. We'll go to Patricia and then to Gloria, and then we'll call it a day, guys. So for Patricia, please scan me and my kids. So Patricia, it seems like you've got two kids. Yeah, two kids, or two kids that are close to you. Yeah, two kids. It also seems that there's another kid somewhere else, or you took care of somebody else. Anyway, so the two kids. So for you, Patricia, what's happening for you is that, does one have ADD or ADHD or seem like that to you? So that kind of pattern, and you might be thinking about taking them to counseling and so on like that. Again, it's your decision, but I would have them do the 18 days or have a session with me, because it's ADD, ADHD, and so on. I think I talked about that on a Moss on Sunday. I actually did a talk on it at a convention where everybody else had MDs and PhDs behind their name, and I didn't have anything, but I made the most impact, and I helped people like just right off the spot like that by demonstration. So your kids suffer from not being in time and space. That's why they're always like jittery or not sure of themselves. Okay. So what that means is that they're always forward, or one of your kids is like off into another reality. So you might be speaking to him, it's like, shit, he's not paying attention. He's actually trying to pay attention, but he's always getting pulled, sidelined. So, so that's the way I see one child. The other child is like, they're just kind of lost. So they just kind of go with whichever way the wind blows. So one gets always sidelined. One is always trying to pay attention, and then he always gets accused, or she always gets accused of not paying attention, right? Again, those are time distortions. Those are at some moment. Also, were you ill with that one child as well? Or did you take a medication that you had to, that kind of messed his time sensing device, by the way. Guys, spatial referencing is the most important tool of the century. I don't care. Any scientists say spatial referencing is the most important tool that you could ever use to reclaim yourself, by the way. So yeah, so that's what's happening for you. So what I was helping you with, Patricia, is again, helping them see how they render themselves in space and time. Okay, so you'll see your son more present, by the way, without him having to always, try to pull back. And then Gloria, possibly scan me and my son. So your son, you seem to be growing together. Take a breath in, guys. So with you and your son, it's like you two are very close together, and you go, well, that's a really nice bond. It is a nice bond. But what happens is that over time, as you get older, he's going to take on the burdens of you, and then his relationship patterns, his health patterns, and so on will be like yours. Again, you can change that. You can switch that. You'll also have a closer relationship, because when you're too close like this, when you're really identical or mangled like this, or eventually you'll get into that point. Okay, and you're doing a great job, by the way. You're starting to separate your identity. People who go through, the XI process, when they're like that, and they go, "Well, we'll have a great relationship," it's like, I don't want to change that, but you lose yourself in each other, basically. So what you want to do is, like, you separate yourself, and then this person helps you define who you are more. This person helps this person define themselves, and then, and since you're helping each other, that relationship binds closer and better, and you get a better version of each other rather than, say, the same adopted version, again, from parent to child. Okay, so that's what's happening with you. Again, you're doing a great job, Gloria, again, or you're starting to realize that that's what's happening, and you're starting to pull away. It doesn't mean that the relationship dies or you spend less time or anything like that. In fact, what it means is that you will separate initially to identify who you are initially, and then you'll come back closer as strong, say, adults. A lot of times parents, and children, even if the child is like 40, 50 years old, they're still treated like, when they left home, like 18, 20, right? And that, it really messes up. Now, as you grow, what'll happen for you, and that's what's happening to my kids, which is really nice, is that, I treat them like they'll always be young to me, but again, they see me as, well, obviously a parent, but I see them as the age that they are, which is really, really important to kids, and that's why we're always connected. My son always asks me, to go do stuff, go biking or go do whatever. All the kids, from my oldest, which is 25, to the youngest, which is 11 and a half. They're always like, hey, do you want to go do this? Do you want to do this? Because I allow them to be them. That's what parents want, right? And besides, and then when you allow them to be them, they don't become a pain in the ass. They become, say, the blessings that they're supposed to be. All right, guys, we could talk about more and more. Join me next week. I think, again, next week is more of for teenagers, for young adults. So we're doing a whole, month on for young adults. All right, and then also helping the older people reclaim themselves. So upcoming, guys, which you really want to do, especially if you're doing the 18 days, personal deprogramming, criticism. It's Tuesday, August 2nd. That might be really helpful if you've been rejected or you're rejecting. That's a really powerful program. That's a really powerful HyperMeditation that we do. Again, it's called personal deprogramming, and it's going to be on criticism. So you might want that for you. And then the personal optimization coming up August 7th is success. It's on optimizing you, getting you ready for success, or getting you, allowing you to, say, absorb and nurture yourself with success. A lot of times, people become successful, but they don't deserve it. Again, because of the underlying patterns. So, and then August elevation begins Monday, August 8th. Wow, we're into August already. So that's coming up. And the elevation is really, especially if you're new, it's a great opportunity for you to come into, say, the world of frequencies and understanding frequencies, which is psychology and NLP and all those things that you've ever done, even the high level courses. I don't care who it is, the biggest names out in the world that are out there, they're at this level. Okay, no matter brain technology, brainwave technology, again, they're at this level. XI frequencies are at this level. So this is where you can change dramatically. If you're new, those frequencies, those changes are quite rapid for you. So the elevation is four times in a month, every Monday. It allows you to understand, get your toes wet, understand frequencies, understand the language of becoming exponentially intelligent, understanding becoming your own self. Okay, because that's what it's about. So if you're new, it's a great opportunity for you to jump in and start changing, transforming your life. If you've been here before, if you're an XI, it's a great opportunity for you to, again, cultivate what you've learned. This is where I can give you enough momentum to be on your own, just giving you that push, and then you start to balance and harmonize. Even if you're an old-time XI or even advanced XIers, this allows you to go to higher levels, and then allows you to balance yourself at that level. okay? Because it gives you that extra push that you need. So that's what the elevation is really designed for. And that starts Monday, August 8th, by the way. So we're coming up. In August, we're going to have a lot of, say, success orientation, success mechanisms, business relationships, and so on like that coming through. All right. All right, guys. Again, thanks for being here. Subscribe to the channel. Guys, notice what you notice. Tell your friends about it, that there's this crazy person that can explain life, and let them see for themselves. Hopefully this helped you out. Again, comment in. Thanks for being here, guys. As we end, notice what you notice. Notice the details. Peace. And again.